Hey, how's it going? It's me, Ricky. We are here for functional conditioning yoga with a squinty camera. Boom, we are. Is that good? I don't know, maybe it is. Welcome to my front room. Let's have a little check-in first with what this is, how it works, and how I'm going to help improve your mobility and your understanding of how to use your stuff. Just how to get good at your foundations of movement, starting from your feet to your ankles, to your knees, to your hips, to your spine, shoulders, all of the stuff to get you working nice. So, this isn't a follow me yoga class. This isn't one where you just look at me and do the same as me. I ask you to look inwards and really assess what is happening with all of your joints, all of your muscles, in each pose, each stretch, each articulation, and see if you can improve it and improve your understanding of it, and absolutely stay free from pain. So nothing should hurt, nothing should feel like nipping or pinching or anything like that. There might be some lactic acid, a bit of build-up of like muscles getting tired, but just all good, strong stuff. Okay, so your feet planted, hands on your knees, sit up nice and tall, relax your jaw, and see if you can expand your rib cage. Then draw your rib cage in. And expand your rib cage. And draw rib cage in. Just keep this moving. Just check in with what is actually happening. Like, how are you making this do the stuff, the muscles around your ribs, around the side of your belly, and then slowly start doing a little side bend and see if you can keep your head reasonably still. So if you look at the negative space around my head, you should be able to keep your head right over the top of your pelvis as you bend from side to side like this. I'm sorry if you can hear the dog crying in the background. She's not hard done to. She's just a Tasmanian devil, and she's just is so hard to teach while she's running around my feet. So she's crying while she's in the crate. Bless her. Okay. So you should be able to feel the muscles down the sides of your belly lengthening and shortening. One side lengthens, one side shortens here, and then cross your arms over your chest and rotate. And see if you can squeeze a bit further into rotation as you go. Squeeze a bit further and squeeze a bit further, and really try and understand how to improve this. Keep it going, keep it like getting further and being stronger, and obviously no pain. That's it. Okay, so let's go into more articulation, more movement based stuff. So we're going to use our hip. So standing on your leg, just lift up your knee as high as you can, bring it out, lift your heel and drag it back until you find bum muscle, and then knee to knee, knee up. Bring this knee back, bring it out, drag this knee up, bring it back. What I'm really asking you to do is think internally about your hip socket and push into the ends of this hip socket. So your leg lifts as high as you can when you do this. And you find the end as you swing it out, and then you drag it down the outside edge, finding stuff to push against, and change direction every time as well. So when you get to here, bring it back the other way, and bring it all the way back, and bring it back the other way. Cool, okay. Then let's try the other side. So with your leg up against the thing, pick this knee up, knee out. Okay, so you're trying to find all the corners of this hip socket. So before we go into any stretches, you have a real understanding of how this stuff moves around. You should be able to feel how it moves around, like really think internally, tune into it, keep improving it. Nice. Okay. And then let's go into lower back and how that affects all the stuff of the hips and your hamstrings and glutes. So if you bring one hand down and grab hold of your hamstring, I want you to round your back like cat pose and then extend lower back like cow pose and just bounce between these two shapes with your hand checking in on your hamstring to feel it change loads like this. Because I don't think that we try both hands as well. I don't think we really understand how much this changes everything about this extension and flexion of the spine. It changes so much of the musculature of the legs. So when we come up into this hamstring stretch, I'm going to use the sofa. We've not done this one in a couple of weeks. So you stand with your foot up on the sofa like this. Okay, put your hand on your lower back and feel this natural curve of the spine as your lower back kind of pops forwards, and then bring this foot up like this and then just hinge forwards slightly, like just a bit like this, until you get this stretchy feeling down the back of your legs, and then just move around a little bit and just explore. So as your hips go side to side, forwards and backwards, feel the pulling of this stuff down the back of your leg and keeping this arch in the lower back so that you can make this stretch happen without reaching forwards. Because this reaching forwards, grabbing your toes or reaching to get your head further forwards is an expression of your spine or an expression of your shoulders. I want it to just be right in the pelvis and hips, like this. And just keep hanging out. And slowly, slowly, just see if you can relax more. So we are going to get into doing a bit of a push, but I want you to feel like it feels like learning, but isn't that difficult. It's quite easy, like not that much of a stretch at all. Like back away from it and think about what would happen if you spent ages just living with this little bit of lengthening. So it feels like your body is like, it's okay, I've got you, this is easy. As opposed to going into this and it feels like your hamstring is like, oh, careful, I've got you, oh, careful, I've got you, you're not going to fall off. And then you can build up resilience over time from being in this nice, easy, passive stretch for longer. And then we can build up the scale and the spectrum of skills available to these muscles by driving your heel hard into the sofa, like really, really tough push down, like you're crushing the sofa with this, and you can feel this muscle tensing, and maybe you can get more stretch at the same time as you push. Keep pushing, ramping tension up. And then I want you to see if you can lift your thigh up. I'm not bothered about your foot lifting, but a straight leg, lift your thigh and feel hip flexors and get as close to owning this as you can, and have a think about how that relates to your standing foot as well. I can feel that footprint working. Keep lifting, yes. And then this time I want you to do spine stuff as well, so you can lean over and find all the stretchy stuff like this. Amazing. Okay, and swapping legs. Okay, let's see. So nice and easy, just finding this nice natural curve of lumbar spine, lower back. Nothing much happening particularly. It's just stood up with this foot up on the sofa. If you really can't, then you could stand on something, like if you stacked a couple of hard back books under your foot that would lift you up higher, or you could do it on your sofa like this, and that'd be okay. That's absolutely fine. Otherwise, you're just here. All we're looking for is feeling this feeling of stretching, so you understand that the muscle is lengthening, but it's not holding on to you super tight. It is just nice and easy, nice and passive, and you can just relax here and you'll be all right. Settle. And breathe nicely. And then slowly start building up tension, pushing your heel down, ramping tension up. Keep pushing, ramp that tension up. And then try and lift from the thigh. Try and really get this hip flexor to do the thing as you lift. So difficult. Yes. There we go. Okay, I'm going to do a little pause. I'll be right back. Okay, sorry about that. We just had to take a very quick little break. But we are back. So, we looked at our hamstrings. Let's see. So we've looked at our hamstrings. Let's see if we can then fix up some articulation involving the hamstring. So stood with your leg up against your sofa, so you should be able to balance quite well with this leg pressing against here. Lift your knee and see if you can straighten your leg out a few times. I want your hand to feel stuff. So with your hand just underneath your hamstring, you should be able to feel this lengthen out. As you straighten your leg, you can feel that stuff lengthening and make this stuff here, hip flexors, work super hard. Then when you bring your leg behind you, lifting that heel up, and you might feel a little bit crampy here. I'm going to look at this a bit further in a second as well as we stretch our hip flexors out. Okay, try that on the other side. So lifting this knee higher than your hip, straighten your leg out a good few times and feel hamstring lengthen. As you straighten this knee out, you can feel this muscle behind your leg lengthen. That's it. Cool. And then reach this leg back behind you and see if you can lift. It's good. And I can feel, I love using my hands as a marker of what's actually moving and happening, and whether the stuff that I think I'm keeping still is keeping still. Let's do a little groin hip flexor kind of stretch. So kneeling on your sofa, this massively depends on how soft your sofa is, but I want you to go into a long lunge like this with your back knee on the sofa, and then see if you can push your foot down into the sofa. And what happens is you get this big stretch in the hip flexor, and then maybe move side to side a little bit or rotate and feel every angle changes the feeling in this hip flexor down here. And then this is the important bit. Can you tense the bum muscle on the back leg and just hold this here? Bend the front knee some more, straighten up this back knee and hold. Yes, there we go. Okay, so with that, thinking about that, your bum muscle does hip extension, brings your leg behind you. If it doesn't, it'll be lower back, does hip extension. And they work in a team together. They're not exclusive to each other. They can both work at the same time. But if you have really good extension of the lumbar spine and really good hip extension, you have two halves to a whole. Does that make sense? That you can improve both of those things to get better at having your leg out back behind you for sprinting and kicking things and just general mobility. So bend this front knee, find the hip flexor, and I've got to lean back a little bit to find it, and then as I push my foot down, it lifts the back knee a bit, and find this stretch, and maybe even try and tense the bum muscle just a bit. And like I say, that's the important bit. Having this bum muscle on is the thing that makes this happen. Keep holding. That's it. Keep tensing this bum muscle. Bend this front knee some more. Lean back a little bit more. This is tough for me, but it's, there we go, and then coming out. And there's lots of different ways to stretch this stuff, but I'm really into making sure that your glute understands how to lengthen out this. It's so important. Okay, let's get into glute stretch then. So I'm liking using this, my little footstool buffet, little thing. You don't have to use this or anything like this. You can just use the sofa. You just face into the back of the sofa like this with your shin coming across and your back leg trailing behind like this. So this is the same as doing it on the sofa. This is a little bit lower than my sofa, which works for me. And then we just hinge forwards just a bit until you can get this knee close to your armpit. So your right knee close to your right armpit, or left knee close to left armpit. And you can feel a stretch down the outside of the right bum cheek. And while I'm here, I quite often like doing shoulder stuff or neck stuff because I want to settle into this stretch for a fair amount of time. So let's see if we can do some shoulder stuff, shall we? So with your opposite arm to leg, so if you've got your right leg underneath you, you've got your left hand forwards, and reach this up, reach it around and up behind your back, bring it back again. Keep this going. That's really difficult. Oh, that's so tough. There we go. So I'm training the back of my shoulder to be able to lift this arm up some more. Okay, let's get into the work section of this then. So pushing your ankle and your knee down, ramp the tension up and keep pushing. And then try and lift your knee into your armpit. Keep lifting. Nice. And then just drop just a little bit lower. Cool. Okay. And pick yourself up and try that on the other side. So remember, your shin comes across. So the best way to get into this, I think, is lift your knee, bring it across you, and drop your ankle down, and then lower yourself down until this back knee drops like this. And then just lean forwards. This time it's going to be, my left leg is forwards, I'm going to pick up my right arm. Try and find end ranges all the way back behind me. That's tough. It's got to be enough times to elicit a change. I'm trying to improve my mobility there, trying to get better at using my arm back behind me, because we spend so much of our life with our arms out in front of us. Relax your jaw a little bit. Just keep holding. Okay. And then slowly start pushing down with your ankle, with your shin, and ramp tension up. Keep pushing into the floor with this. So we're making this stuff here that we're stretching go under tension, and lift your chest, and then try and lift your knee up to your armpit. Keep lifting. Nice. Cool. Okay. And then when you stand up, you should be able to tune into this glute stuff here by doing external hip rotation. So if you just bring your foot forwards just a bit, so you're standing on one leg, I'm leaning against the sofa to help with balance. As I turn my knee out, external hip rotation is bum muscle stuff, it's bum muscle action. I can feel that. Do a little dance. As I turn my knee out, I feel this bum muscle stuff working. And then when I bring it in, so I turn my knee in across my body, it feels a bit crampy to me, but it's all like really internal hip stuff. The more we improve this, the better we can get at making our stuff work. There we go. Okay, let's try the other side. So turn it out, turn it in, turn it out, and turn it in. Cool. Really squeeze into the external rotation, then squeeze into the internal. And it doesn't seem like much, but the more I do this, the more I check in on myself as well, so feel what is happening, the better I get at it. I just get better at articulating my joints. Okay, let's now look at some core work, some ab work, and understanding your spine. So if you perch on the end of your sofa, I'm going to perch on this and go sideways on so you can maybe see a little bit more of what's happening. I want you to go up into extension like this, and then try and pull the bottom rib down, up into extension and pull the bottom rib down, up into extension, pull the bottom rib down. You can feel your back arch and then round, arch and then round, and make the muscles in your belly do work, like they're contracting to pull down and lengthening to pull you back up. Okay, and then let's see if you can do this while leaning back a little bit. So if I just sit back just a bit, if you're on the sofa, make sure you've not got a load of cushions in your way so you're not touching anything, and see if you can do the same while the muscles in your belly hold you up. So you can feel like I can make my whole rib cage lift away from my pelvis from the front, and then I can pull bottom rib down. And the more I lean back, the harder this is. So exhausting. And then let's check in with that. Oh, I can move forwards first now. So I want you to feel like you can use that as like a bungee rope to hold against you. So if you do a little crunch, rotate, tip to the side and lean back and around and back to crunch. Then rotate, tip to the side, lean back and around and then little crunch. And keep this going all the way around and back to crunch. Then all the way around, back to crunch. And just keep going, keep moving around in a circle one way, circle the other. And think about when we do upward facing dog or any back bend in yoga, this is this, except you don't have the floor to push against. You have to own it yourself. You've got to be able to contract the right muscles to be able to do it. And I see huge value in this compared to just forcing ourselves into a back bend doing upward facing dog or cobra pose or anything like that. Okay, now let's get into some rounding of the back now. So a bit of a slouch. I want you to start in extension and then lean forwards as far as you can and then round your back. Then sit yourself up and sit back up again. So you can feel the end of your hips, and then you can round your back down, bring it back up, and then sit back up. And just keep going at this, at feeling what it feels like to use all the muscles in your spine, muscles in your belly to get yourself forwards and back up. Lots of times, loads and loads. And definitely add this into your work day, into your break time, whatever you can do to get a bit better at this. And let's try side bend as well now. So we've already done a little bit of this at the beginning, but I feel different now. Now that we've done this bit of spine work, I have better access to these spaces. Amazing. All right, and then let's go for some shoulder stuff, shoulder and wrist stuff actually. So let's see, if you go palms facing each other like this, and then put your middle finger into the middle of your palm, then ring finger on top, and then wrap everything around that. And it's pretty much like making a fist without curling your fingers under, like that. You kind of wrap them over the top of each other. So middle finger, ring finger, pointing finger, and then wrap everything over the top of it and see if you can squeeze it in tight. And what that does, it makes a really long line around here. Everything's lengthened through here, and then we can, so do this with both hands, and then see if you can turn your fists in, turn your fists out, turn your fists in, turn your fists out. We're lengthening all the stuff down here and then shortening all the stuff down here as you go into extension, flexion, extension, flexion, extension. Lots of times, and try and feel it and be quite happy with what that does for your wrists. Cool. Okay. And then let's see if you can do that up and down. So when you turn over like this, it changes it for me massively. And then if I can turn in, so knuckles facing like this, changes it massively again. Really different. Cool. Okay, then let's make this about shoulders. So I want you to curl inwards, so knuckles facing like this, straight elbows, squeeze shoulder blades together, bring them forward, squeeze together, bring them forwards. You can feel the path change here. Go forwards and backwards lots of times. Breathing nicely. So tiring, so tiring, there we go. And then just move fingers around and wrists around. And so what I want from that, and why I asked you to do that, is because of this point of contention that's in so many people. And when you do press-ups or down facing dog, anything on your hands, this closing angle is always quite achy. If we can make a bit of space there using that long stretch here and getting these muscles a little bit better at lengthening these muscles here, you might feel a bit happier when you're in 90-degree angle in the wrists. And then also it travels all the way up the chain to around the back of your shoulders, and you can just keep improving on that. Okay, and let's bring it back down into seated. Perched right on the end of your sofa, hands down on your knees, soften the shoulders down. Before we finish, I want you to just do a little practice of breathing with me. When you flare the rib cage, you can keep it flared. So you breathe in, rib cage stays open. Can you breathe with the rib cage flared open? It's kind of difficult. And then breathe all the way in and all the way out. And then try again, keeping the rib cage flared, shoulders soft. Cool. Okay, bring palms together. Thumbs to forehead, tuck your chin and roll forwards. Namaste. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining me. I hope you get a lot out of this class. I get a lot out of teaching it, but definitely check in with me. Let me know what you're working with. Let me know if there's something that I can help with to help improve the way that you move, and I'll do my best to keep looking after you guys. All right. Thank you so much, everyone. I'll see you soon. Bye.